It was just everything that I had prayed for and more. Without the Lord's help, I cannot do this. This is the last video of 2023. This is the last one I'm putting out there. Next week I'm taking the week off. There'll be no video. So this is the last video of the year. And I thought, what better video to share than a recap of this year? I thought it'd be fun to go over my goals that I had set for myself at the beginning of the year and review them and see what I've accomplished, what I haven't, how life has changed and where it's taken us. And then also looking ahead into the new year, I want to set some new goals for myself. I find the end of December, the beginning of January is often a time of reflection for me. A time when I dig deeper and ask the Lord to reveal to me, like, what do I need to change? What are some sins in my heart that I need to confess? What do I need to let go of? And how can I better serve my family? What can I do better? So today's video is just going to be a chatty one. I'm going to sit down and just kind of talk about the year and how I've changed and what we've done. As I was preparing for this video, I went back to my video from last year. It was really interesting to see the goals that I had set for myself. I focused on a few of them, but then some of them I completely forgot about. So it was really interesting to see where my mind was at the beginning of the year and then where our life ended up going and what I ended up doing. I need to attend to 2 of my children. I will be right back. I will link the video that I filmed last year so that you can go back and look to see where I was at too. I think it's really interesting sharing my life here and how I've changed over the years, because when I look back and I think about even just the way that just my mindset and my opinions and what I thought and believed is so different now than it was 6 years ago when I got married and became a mom. And it's been really cool to see how I've grown and how the Lord has been shaping me and using me. And I'm excited to see what this year brings and what He's going to do with me this year. I was just flipping through my Bible a little bit before I sat down to film this video. The first verse I flipped to feels like a very good theme for this video. Psalm 119, 33-37 says, "Teach me, Lord, the way of your decrees, that I may follow it to the end. Give me understanding so that I may keep your law and obey it with all my heart. Direct me in the path of your commands, for there I find delight. Turn my heart toward your statutes and not toward selfish gain. Turn my eyes away from worthless things and preserve my life according to your word." I feel like that passage really just encompasses everything that I am feeling in my heart right now and looking into the new year, and how I'm just wanting to change. Just want to grow deeper in my relationship with the Lord. Why don't we first take a look at the goals from last year? I had 23 goals last year. I have less goals this year. Some of them more practical, some of them more like broad goals. It was really funny looking over some of my goals from last year because I don't even remember making some of these goals. Goals like spend less money. I can't say that I did that one very well. Organize digitally, don't even remember setting that one. Read more books. I really didn't read a lot of books this year, but I still really want to. Give more compliments. I don't even remember writing that one down, but that's a great one. Some goals that I feel I was actually quite successful in was eat a more wholesome diet. Zach and I have both been on this train and we've been really starting to make a lot more things from scratch and just really realizing the ingredients that are in some of our stuff and how processed some of our food is, and purging our home of a lot of those things, which has been really good. Learn how to sew. I have slowly been teaching myself how to sew and be more handy in that way. Plant a garden from seed. I tried. I can't say I was successful, but I definitely tried. Complain less and shift my mindset. Those are huge things that I've really been working on this year, and I feel like I've really come a long way, and I want to continue that. I want to keep that up. I wanted to work less. And it's funny because I don't even remember setting that goal, but this year I totally have taken that step and I've stepped back and I've started to work a whole lot less. It took me almost the entire year to get there, but I'm here now and it's been wonderful. So at this time last year, I was newly pregnant. And so obviously one of the big things that was going on in our life last year was that we were gonna have a baby. Basically our entire lives revolved around having our fourth baby. And it's been really interesting to see how things have shifted and changed. So like January to March, it was winter, it was cold, I was sick, wasn't feeling very good, wasn't very productive, was kind of a hard time. April and May were months of traveling and planting a garden. They were very fun months, very much a breath of fresh air because I had been so sick for that long winter, and then just feeling better and being able to plant a garden and do fun stuff with the family was. Then during the summer, like months June to August, things really shifted in my pregnancy. I mean, if you've been following along on our journey this past year, you know all about this, but we got some tough news about the pregnancy. Things became more high risk and there were tons of doctor's appointments and ultrasounds, and our life very much revolved around the babe in my womb. And we were very, very focused on that and just trying to get ourselves prepared and ready to welcome that baby into our home. God taught me a lot about surrender in those months and just leaning on Him and trusting in Him. End of summer, I gave birth. It was the most beautiful birth experience, and I still and I think about that birth, I can't help but smile because it was just everything that I had prayed for and more, and God just just showered us with blessings during that time, and it was beautiful. And then we began that transition of welcoming a new member into our family and adjusting to that. There were a lot of trials during that time. Annabeth had a hard time adjusting to the outside world, and the first couple of months were a little bit tough. And it was in this time that I was just relying so heavily on the Lord and being very diligent about picking up my Bible and praying and just surrendering and being near Him. It was in this time that the Lord really started convicting me of where my priorities were. There were a lot of things that happened during this time, a lot of changes in our personal life and changes in our convictions. We knew it was time that I started to step away, that we would started to pull our family away from the internet, and it was time to shift things around. It was time for change. And so I stopped vlogging. I stopped sharing a lot of our personal life, and I started posting less. Cannot tell you how much of a relief that change has been, and how fulfilling it's been to be a lot more involved with my children and school and my home and not focusing so much on work. It's also been such a relief to not be sharing so much of our personal private life here on YouTube. There was a time and a place where we totally felt like that's what we were called to do, but now things have changed, and now it's time that we stepped away a little bit. So it's been so refreshing to share what I'm passionate about instead of just sharing our life, you know? And that brings us to where we are now, and I'm so excited to see what 2024 holds. And with that, we are going to talk a little bit about some goals that I've been writing down, some things that I would like to work on. Some of these are very specific and practical, and some of these are more broad spectrum. I am someone who is very goal oriented. So for me, it's very beneficial to sit down and assess myself and write down some goals for myself, and even practical ways that I can maybe achieve those goals. As Ephesians 4:22-24 says, "You were taught with regard to your former way of life to put off your old self, which is being corrupted by its deceitful desires, to be made new in the attitude of your minds, and to put on the new self, created to be like God in true righteousness and holiness." So every time I set goals for myself, this is what I have in mind: to put off my old self, to put to death my old self, and to be made new in the attitude of my mind, to put on the new self, created to be like God in true righteousness and holiness. When I think about some of my bad habits, and I think about ways that I can honor my husband, the first thing that comes to mind is, how am I spending my money? Am I spending my money in a way that honors the Lord? Am I being a good steward of what I've been blessed with? And I can't always say that I am. And I think this is something that I really need to reevaluate and assess, because I know that I am prone to spending more money than I need to. One of my goals for this year, again, is to spend less money, and my hope and prayer is that I can actually achieve this goal this year. This is another one from last year, but organize digitally. Because my job is online, a lot of my work is on my computer, and over the years with having more kids and getting more busy, and I have let that organization go, and it is time that I just like go through my computer and organize everything, make sure things are backed up, footage is backed up, photos are backed up. It would be a whole lot easier to do my job if I could just get that organized. Something that I would love to do just kind of for myself is learn how to shoot film. I love film. I love the nostalgia of film photos. There's something that's just a lot more special to me about those candid film photos rather than taking 50 digital photos of the same pose just so that you can get the perfect one. With film, you take the photo and that's your photo. There's no going back. You need to be a lot more intentional about what you choose to capture, and there's something just really sweet and special about that. So I want to learn how to shoot film. Going along with that whole theme, I also want to print photos. Photos are so special to me. I'm a very nostalgic person. I love looking back on photos and videos. In fact, that's a huge reason why I even started my YouTube channel in the first place. And so I really want to print some photos because I take a ton of photos, and I've got a ton of photos on my computer, on my phone, on backup discs. I never actually look at them because I don't have them in front of me, so I want to go through and print some. Again, kind of on that same line, I want to take more photos and videos for me. I've realized a lot of the footage that I've taken over the years, a lot of the photos I've taken over the years have been for Instagram, have been for YouTube, and they've been curated in such a way that they are acceptable to share online, I guess. And a lot of the raw emotion is taken out of that, and some of it is staged, and it's just not as authentic. But I want to be able to look back on these memories that we're making right now and view them from the lens of how they actually happened and not staged, or you know? And I've also realized that since I've stopped vlogging, I haven't pulled out the camera as much, I haven't taken as many home videos, I haven't even taken as many photos. Because before I had to do it because it was part of my job, but now that I've switched things a little bit, I've kind of just let it go. But I want to start that up again and actually capture these memories as they're happening and as they are. This next one is maybe a little bit unrealistic because we do have a lot of big home projects that we want to do this year. But Zach and I would both really love to travel more. We love traveling. We go on little weekend trips all the time, but Zach and I would really love to go places that we haven't been before, or maybe places we haven't been with the kids, maybe try flying somewhere. We've never tried flying with our kids, and I think the last time we flew somewhere was 7 years ago when I was pregnant with Eloise. Every time we go on a vacation, Zach and I are like, why don't we do this more often? We've worked our way to a point where we have the flexibility to go on vacation easily, but we never take that opportunity. Like, I work from home, Zach works from home, we homeschool. Like, we really don't have anything holding us down. Why aren't we traveling? Why aren't we going out and seeing more? And we are people who love traveling with our kids. Yeah, it's exhausting. It's not as easygoing or relaxing, but it is so much more memorable with them. Sharing those experiences and those memories with them is is so sweet. We don't want to allow the busyness of the season or the difficulty of traveling with kids to stop us from doing it. My next one is make more food from scratch. This is something I want to do because I want to. I find a lot of joy in cooking and being in the kitchen and making good food for my family and for others. And I love being able to serve wholesome foods that aren't full of processed ingredients. It's not always realistic for me in different stages of life. Like in this past year, it was a lot more challenging because we had a baby. And when you have a baby in the house, things are busy. My time is hugely taken up by that. And I don't have as much ability to be in the kitchen as much as I would love to one day. As Annie gets older, I know I'm gonna have a little bit more time on my hands, and I really want to spend some more time in the kitchen just making food from scratch and learning how to make other things that I haven't tried before. I have grow a garden from seed on my list of things I want to do. There is something so rewarding about gardening, and so much more rewarding when you can actually plant your garden from seeds that you planted yourself. Last year, my heart was not in my garden. I don't know what is so funny downstairs, but I love hearing his giggle. My heart was not in my garden last year. My heart was in my pregnancy and giving birth and having a baby. That all took place right around summertime and harvest season and garden season. I really didn't put a lot of effort into my garden this year. So this coming summer, I would really love to put in the extra effort and spend more time in my garden. Another repeat goal on my list this year is to read more books. This has been a goal of mine for quite some time, but I have never actually achieved that goal. And I think it's because I've never made it practical for myself. So I think this year, what I'm gonna do is to aim for 10 minutes of reading a day. That is not my Bible. So 10 minutes of reading aside from my Bible reading. This is something we did with Eloise this past summer. We had a goal for her to read 10 minutes every single day, and her love for reading just like blew up. She loves reading, and her reading skills have improved so much just from 10 minutes of reading a day. It only took me like a week of encouraging her to do it, and then after that she just did it on her own. Like, I don't even have to, you know, encourage her anymore. She just does it. She reads all the time, and it's beautiful, and I want to get to that point as well. I remember as a kid just loving to read. I read all the time. I read so many books, and I miss that. And I know that when I do read books, especially books that are about biblical parenting, biblical marriage books, homeschooling books, I see so much fruit from that in my own life, and I think it would be very valuable for me to actually make a good, decent effort to read more books this year. This next one I'm really excited about, and I've never actually set this goal for myself before, and it kind of goes hand in hand with reading more. But Zach and I would really love to read through our Bible this year. Both of us are just feeling the need to dig into God's word, but we feel like we just need that little bit of encouragement, like that 10 minutes of reading a day. Like, we need some kind of a goal to reach in order to really get us going on this. It's all too easy if I don't get to it in the morning to say, I'll do it later. And then the evening comes, I still haven't done it, and I'm exhausted, and I go to bed without reading my Bible that day. And so we need like a goal every day. There's a Bible plan I found that goes through the whole Bible, but then it also goes through Psalms and Proverbs and the New Testament twice, I think. That's the plan that we're gonna try and use, and we're really excited about it. In addition to reading more books and reading my Bible more, I would also love to listen to more podcasts. I see a lot of positive change in myself when I can listen to more podcasts and listen to wisdom from other moms and wives. But I do find it a little bit challenging to actually listen to podcasts because there's always little people needing me. There's always some kind of noise going on, so sometimes it's hard for me to focus. So I'm gonna try and listen to a podcast a week. Even if it's broken up into like 10-minute segments, I think that's doable for me. Something that's been really on my heart and mind lately is the idea of resting well, or resting intentionally. When we get into these colder months, we're spending a lot more time inside. I am someone who just simply does not enjoy being outdoors when it's cold and snowy out there, and so I would much rather just spend my time inside, and that's all fine and dandy, but I often find that it's in these dark winter seasons that I get lazy. When I have an opportunity to rest, my first thought is to sit down on the couch and watch a movie, or sit down on the couch and stare at my phone, and that just, it doesn't benefit me well. I don't feel rested after that. I don't feel good after that. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's a time and a place, and it's something that Zach and I absolutely love doing. We love movie nights with the kids. We love to just snuggle up and watch a show, and that's great. But when all of my rest time is spent doing that, it just doesn't benefit me. I've been picking up some of my old hobbies, learning some new hobbies, things that I can do with my hands that I just really enjoy, that allow me to rest and to rest well. And then I come away from that rest feeling rested and feeling encouraged and lifted up, in higher spirits. So I've been doing things like embroidery. crocheting. These are hobbies I've had since I was like 5 years old. I've always been this little grandma at heart, and I just absolutely love doing these things with my hands. Other things I want to do more of that fall under that category of rest is more family board game nights. Visit our friends more often and just talk. Going out for walks in summertime. Enjoying being in the Lord's presence, being in the presence of my kids and my husband, and not being so distracted by a screen. Got 4 more goals here. The next one is to kiss my husband more. I had this on my goal list last year and I completely forgot about it. And I think I still need some more improving in this area. He is so sweet and so good about just coming up to me and kissing me or hugging me or giving me a compliment. He is so good at that. My 2 top love languages are acts of service and words of affirmation, and Zach is like the king of speaking those love languages. He is so good at it, and I feel so loved and cherished. I really lack in this department because I'm so busy all the time. My mind is always full. I'm always distracted that I forget about my husband. He should be way up here and everything else should be way down here. So the goal to kiss my husband more is with the intention of putting my husband up here instead of here. I really think this goal could be the start of something bigger. So this next one goes right along with that, and Zach and I both agree it is high time that we really start doing this, and that is weekly date nights. I think this might have been on my list before. Was it on my list before? Yep, it was. Did we do it? No. We'll have date nights on a pretty regular basis, but we don't make it a priority every single week. Like, we don't sit down and say, what are we doing for date night this week? And a lot of the time it ends up just looking like sitting and watching TV for an hour and then going to bed. We want to be more intentional with our date nights. We want to be intentional about the time that we spend together, what we talk about, what we do. We love some good old movie night date nights, but we don't want that to be the only thing that we do. Like, we want to connect on a deeper level and have regular conversations and just really make that our marriage more of a priority. I don't know how to title this one because it's kind of a lot of things in one, but I want to be okay with the distractions around me. Children are a blessing. They really truly are. They are a blessing. That is a concept I really want to cling to and hold on to. But I find very often when I'm going about my day and I have a lot of little voices around me, little people asking me for stuff, someone needs something across the house, then a baby's crying, and then the food is burning because I'm distracted by all of these beautiful little people. I get very irritated when I get distracted from something that I'm trying to do. I want to be okay with those distractions. I don't handle myself very good in those situations, and I want to be better with that. How I plan to reach that goal, I don't really know. A lot of prayer, time spent with the Lord. Funny enough, that was something I was reading before this video as well. Children are a heritage from the Lord, offspring a reward from Him. Like arrows in the hands of a warrior are children born in one's youth. Blessed is the man whose quiver is full of them. Literally, as I was talking about this, I got interrupted and Annie is crying now. Like, you know that feeling when you're so close to being done something and you're in the middle of it and you just want to get it done, but you can't? It's frustrating. But I can't let my frustration affect my parenting and the way that I speak to my child. I can't take that frustration out on them because that's not fair to anyone. So with that being said, let me go grab Annie and I will chat about the last goal that I have. The last goal that I have is again more of a very broad spectrum thing. I've been praying about it a lot, and that is taming my tongue. This is something I will never be perfect at. This is something that I cannot do on my own because I am a sinful human being. Without the Lord's help, I cannot do this. So I've just been giving this to the Lord and praying about this. The Lord's really been pointing out to me how I speak to my family sometimes. How I speak to my husband, the tones that I use, the words that I say. I was listening to a podcast recently from my friend Milena, and she was talking about this idea of speaking life and death over your children. It had me thinking back to my own childhood and how some of the words that were spoken to me that weren't meant to be negative how they negatively impacted me and how I've been doing the same thing in my own parenting. I've come a long way in this area, but I still have a very long way to go. The tongue is powerful. What's that verse that talks about how the tongue has the power of life and death? I'll see if maybe I can put some verses up on the screen about the tongue, because the Bible talks a lot about the tongue and how evil it can be. So with my tongue, I want to use it to speak blessing and to speak life over my family and my husband and everyone that I come in contact with. I want to use it for God's glory and not for my own selfish gain. And on that note, we are going to conclude today's video. Thank you so much for being here. I want to thank each and every one of you for being here and supporting us and for your love and encouragement over the years. And let me know in the comments below what your biggest goal for 2024 is. I want to wish all of you a very Merry Christmas, and I will see you in the new year. Bye.